Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome here as we get set for our 13th race of the season here in Season 2 of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. This is the final race of the first half of the regular season. This race is important for two reasons. Number one, this is the last race before we will head into the portion of the season that we dub the Chase Towards the Chase for the Championship, the final 13 races of the regular season. And more importantly, next week is All-Star Race weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and so it's the last opportunity for drivers that at this point may not have locked themselves up a spot in the All-Star Race field to be able to do so with a victory here today. Obviously, drivers that won races that have returned this season after last year's All-Star Race and the drivers that have won this season so far would be locked to the All-Star Race. Everybody else would have to make their way in via the All-Star Open. 50 laps of racing here today as we are at another dirt track. Today we are at the Fuel Motorsports Park, which is the site of where Chris Dollerton picked up his only victory last season. That was enough to get him into the playoffs, and of course he eventually went on to win the championship. On the pole position for today's race is Matt McIntyre. Matt McIntyre winning that photo finish a couple of weeks ago at the Texas Motor Speedway, getting his first career win. Alongside of him, a driver that you just kind of feel is due for his first career win. He leads the point standing still coming into this race, and that is Ryan Acosta out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Chris Dollerton, the defending winner of this race, will be rolling off from the 9th position. And while I would say that that's a good qualifying position, I don't think passing is going to be a very easy thing here, especially as the run goes on if we end up getting to a long green flag run, because it is a dirt track and a lot of these drivers are going to be fighting for one specific line going into the corners. And of course, the other difference too is last season when we ran this track, we ran with cup physics. Of course, as we've already documented this entire season, in Season 2, we're running the 2019 rules package, which deals with CTS physics. So with the different physics, it's going to affect how the cars are going to handle as opposed to last year, and might make it a little bit more difficult for these drivers to pass. The other thing that's going to be interesting, too, as well, is to see if with 50 laps, the scheduled distance, if these drivers will be good to go the rest of the way of this entire 50-lap event on fuel or not. I'm trying to cast my memory back as to whether they had to make pit stops in last year's race, but for some reason I can't seem to remember. So, if they end up having to pit, it'll probably come as a little bit of a surprise to me. But I would think, especially with us running CTS physics this year, with the fuel consumption being more than it would be with cup physics, they probably will have to pit before this race is over. So will this race win come down to fuel strategy and come down to pit strategy? We're just going to have to wait and see. This typically is like what you would consider a New Hampshire covered in dirt. It's not a whole lot of banking. You're going to see them slipping and sliding through the corners. It's going to be some great racing. Without further ado, though, let's go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
Your top 10 in points coming into this race are as follows. Ryan Acosta is still your points leader. He's only 4 points up, though, on our Michigan winner, Jordan Lopez. So we could have a bit of a battle for the regular season overall points heading into the All-Star break. Mitchell Collins, he's third in points, 15 points out. Matt McIntyre, the pole sitter today, is fourth in the standings. He's 22 points back, and 27 points back is former Daytona 500 winner Carter Friesen. Carson Gum currently sits in 6th. Dylan Young, who took the checkered flag in last week's Darlington race, has now jumped up to 7th. Austin LaPlante currently in 8th. Benjamin Miles sits in 9th. And Cole Baker completes your top 10. Onboard cameras, should we need them. James Qualls carries the Toyota onboard here today. Dylan Young with the Ford onboard. Benjamin Miles, who rolls off 7th, has the Chevy onboard. And Zach Rogers with the Dodge on board. The defending winner of this race and the defending champion, Chris Dollerton, will carry today's helmet cam. 50 laps of racing here today at Fuel Motorsports Park as we get ready to bring the first half of the regular season to a close. Green flags in the air. Let's dirt track race here today. Already the field getting somewhat spread out there by the time they got out of turn number 2. 2 car lengths from Matt McIntyre back to the second place car of Adam Garcia. Saw Dylan Young, of course, take the victory last week at Darlington. That was his first win of his Duracell Cup Series career. Mitchell Collins took a checkered flag last year at Kansas, so Adam Garcia right now is the only Young Motorsports car that has so far not been able to find victory lane here in the Duracell Cup Series. So you got to bet that he's definitely hungry here today. Toyota's in 3 of the top 4 positions right now as Ryan Acosta slots in 3rd and his teammate Johnny Gardner right behind him in 4th. And like I said, the field got really split up because it's a long ways back here before you get to this battle for 5th. Rookie Sebastian Kukulan battling with our Phoenix winner Kyle Matthews. Speaking of rookie, there's actually a really good rookie battle going on as well as far as the point standings are concerned. Last week after Darlington, Derek Hamill now comes in to this race as the rookie point standings leader. 1 point over Cody Lamas, 3 points over Sebastian Kukulan, and 4 points over Marcus Sachi. So it is really, really close right now as they are battling for Rookie of the Year honors. And we have 3 rookies right now up inside of the top 15 as you've got Kukulan right now crossing the line in 5th. Casey Nanico's back there in 10th, and Cody Lamas just on the outside looking in. He's in 11th. Ooh, little contact right there between himself and Vince Almriego as Almriego moves Cody up the track. Driver who took the checkered flag in our first dirt track race of the season. That was at the Springfield Mile right there. Michael Norman in the 18. And when we get past the All-Star race break, it's when we're going to start to focus our attention on the playoffs. Not to say that we haven't focused our attention on the playoffs at this point already, but definitely as the regular season will begin to wind down, we will focus more and more on drivers, if they're going to be in the playoffs, if they're going to be inside the top 30 in points, if they've had a win at this particular point in time. Right now, your playoffs would look like this. Jordan Lopez right now would be in the playoffs in the number 1 seed because of drivers having wins. Hold on, what happened to Levi McIntyre? He's a lap down already in the 40th position. Not sure what's happened to him. Might have dropped a cylinder on the start. But so far, nobody has had multiple wins. So right now, drivers that have wins would be lined up with where they are in points. So right now, Jordan Lopez, who's second in the standings, would have the number 1 seed. Matt McIntyre, Carson Gum, Dylan Young, Cole Baker, Jose Mills, Trey Wright, Ryan Brommer, Kyle Matthews, and Michael Norman. That would be your top 10, and they are all in via victories. Now, Alexander Rowe and Wyatt Quayle, who are 2 previous winners this season, right now are not in the top 30 in points. Rowe is currently 35th in points, Wyatt Quayle is 38th, so they would not have playoff positions at this point in time, which means currently 6 drivers would be in the playoffs via points. That would be our points leader Ryan Acosta, Mitchell Collins, Carter Friesen, Austin LaPlante, Benjamin Miles, and Jesse Turner. But obviously with 14 races remaining, including today's race, a lot can change, and Matt McIntyre out in front here, he would, if he were to pick up his 2nd win of the season, jump up to the number 1 seed in the playoff standings. If you compare lap times right now, Matt McIntyre just a tick quicker than Adam Garcia. They're running almost identical lap times, which is why you're not seeing the gap between the 7 and the 12 decrease. Levi McIntyre just ran his fastest lap of the race of 32.7, and the leaders just ran 32.6s, so I think he has lost a cylinder or something. That's a tough break there for Levi McIntyre, who actually had a really good run last week at Darlington, at a top 10 finish if I recall correctly. He also finished 11th here at this track 1 year ago, and he came into this race 16th in the point standings after spending a good portion of the beginning of this year down near that danger zone of 30th in the standings. So not the run he was looking for, obviously, here today, as we're about to have a battle between some former winners. Michael Norman, our Springfield winner, and Jose Mills, our Bristol winner. Now there are some drivers that come into this race. Yes, I mentioned them in the playoffs because they're in the top 30 in standings, but that doesn't mean they're not down near the danger zone. And Michael Norman, Jose Mills are 2 of those said drivers. Jose Mills is 23rd in points coming into this race. Trey Wright currently sits in 24th. And then Ryan Brommer, our Sonoma winner, Kyle Matthews, our Phoenix winner, they're 26th and 27th. And Michael Norman, he needs this run here today because he comes into this race 30th in the points. I can't tell if the way that the wind is flying, if there's... Okay, yep, that answered my question. It looked like there was dust lingering down the inside line on the front straightaway, and I didn't know if that was just the way the wind was blowing, that it was blowing it towards pit road, or if someone might have spun off of 4, and we are under caution, so that definitely answered that question. And that's a big break for a lot of drivers from 5th place on back. That's going to catch them up here to the top 4. This caution coming out on lap 11, actually came out on lap 10. And we'll see if these drivers are going to pit. I don't know if this is going to be a far enough green flag run that pitting now is going to allow them to make it the rest of the way on fuel or not, but they are all hitting pit lane. It's like Derek Hamill is the reason for this caution, and I think we had a car flip over the pit wall. If you look up there on the top right of your screen, there's skid marks on pit lane. I think we had a flip. James Qualls also has got some damage on the left side of his machine. Benny Watson damage on the front. So we will be able to utilize, hopefully, James Qualls' onboard camera to be able to tell what happened as well. Cycle down through. Oh, Wyatt Quayle's got some damage there on the front and rear of the Hershey's Toyota. We mentioned he comes into this race outside of the top 30 in points, and bad luck hits him again. There's some left side damage as well on the 8 of Matt Haas, right side and rear damage on the 21 of Marcus Sacchi. So there were a number of drivers collected up in this one apparently, and we had an exchange for the lead on pit road. Ryan Acosta is going to restart the leader over Johnny Gardner, Michael Norman, Zach Rogers, and Matt McIntyre's team loses him 4 spots on pit road. Oh, actually, hold on. I thought it was Ryan Acosta getting out first, but it was actually Adam Garcia. Garcia's going to restart the leader. Jack Mitchell's going to be second, and Acosta's actually going to be in third. Let's go back and see what brought up the caution for the first time here today at the Fuel Motorsports Park, as Adam Garcia will be the leader when we go back to green. Well, we saw how the field was spread out at the front. They were anything but here in the middle of the pack. They were 3 wide, a couple of areas there. And the contact takes place between Marcus Sacchi and Matt Haas. That sends Sacchi and Haas down into Marcus Sacchi's teammate Derek Hamill. There's Sacchi into the wall. Nowhere for Wyatt Quayle to go. Dylan Young just squeaks by. And there you see Derek Hamill goes spinning as well. I don't know if there was contact between himself and Jessica Shelton or not. Shelton goes down and hits the inside wall. Quayle's going to go down, almost hits it. More contact there between Shelton and Hamill. Now, I want to watch this 31 car because he had roof damage, which says to me he probably flipped over the pit wall. There's contact there between himself and Quayle. Oh, wow. Another driver involved that we didn't know. William Brock in the 88. There's where James Qualls gets a piece of it. Charles Sanford up into the wall as he got run into from behind by Benny Watson. Cole Baker just squeaks through. Oh, and that's what happened right there. James Qualls spun through the pit wall. Apparently there's no mass on the pit wall in that particular area, and Qualls slid right through the pit wall. Boy, William Brock, a lot of damage there on the front of his machine. He's had a tough couple of weeks. Had a good run early on at Darlington last week, but faded back for a poor performance and caught up in this one as well. And Derek Hamill, looks like that car came to a stop and was not able to get refired. So he took some pretty hard shots there apparently, and probably up near the engine region in the front end of the race car, so he couldn't get the car refired and drive away. So there were about 10 race cars that got some damage in some way, shape, or form right there, and brings out the caution for the first time here today at Fuel Motorsports Park. Let's take an onboard with James Qualls. Now, I don't know if there's a specific spot in that pit wall where there is no mass, or if the entire middle portion of that wall doesn't have any mass at all. But how about this onboard with James Qualls? Watch as he actually goes through the pit wall and does not get any damage as a result of it. Look at that. And he was the one that had the skid marks on pit road that made me think someone might have flipped over the pit wall. Little damage there on the left side, but he's going to keep himself on the lead lap. 1 to green signal has been given. Drivers out of the race after the incident. We saw Derek Hamill and William Brock. Levi McIntyre must have actually been on pit road at the beginning stages of this race, and I didn't see him dip to pit lane because he is 4 laps down. So apparently that's why he was off the pace and everything, made an unscheduled pit stop. There are a couple of cars that had issues on pit road too, getting into their pit stall. Ryan Butcher and Kyle Matthews. Butcher right now has scored a lap down. I think Matthews is lap down as well. You see him leaving pit road also. So that's a tough break for both of them. So that will leave us 35 cars on the lead lap and 38 cars still running. Adam Garcia's team got it done on pit road. He comes out the race leader. Jack Mitchell lines up in second. Ryan Acosta's third. Jose Mills now in fourth with Johnny Gardner fifth. Matt McIntyre drops 5 spots on pit road from first to sixth. He'll restart ahead of teammate Michael Norman, who's 7th, Zach Rogers 8th, Benjamin Miles 9th, and Chris Dollerton completes your top 10. Green flag set to come back out here on lap 15 of 50. And Jack Mitchell immediately drives it down to the inside in turn 1. Battle for the race lead. First time we've really seen a battle for the lead here today. Matt McIntyre started on pole, kind of gapped everybody, and nobody could really battle him for the race lead until that caution came out. Now we're having a side-by-side battle for P1. Jack Mitchell had a top 10 run here 1 year ago, finishing in 6th. Adam Garcia, on the other hand, trying to have a much better finish than he had last year when he brought it home in 26th. And he's going to lose the lead. Jack Mitchell to the top of the board. Adam Garcia says not so fast. He's still right there, and it looks like he's trying to run a half groove lower through the corners. Trying to get back to the left rear of that McDonald Chevrolet. Here he comes, back to the bottom. Ooh, not quite. Got a little tight there on entry as he tried to put it lower into turn 1, and it started to slide up on him, so he had to lift. I'll tell you what, look who's coming, and coming fast, and that is Matt McIntyre. He just ran his fastest lap of the race. He's picked up 2 spots since we went back green. Now look at him rim riding it around the outside line there in 3 and 4. See if that helps him get a good exit off the corner as he tries to run down Jose Mills for that 3rd position. Again, just ran his fastest lap of the race. So that 7 car, something tells me that maybe he lost those spots on pit road, maybe to get an adjustment on that pit stop, and whatever it was, it has definitely worked out in his favor. First time we've seen Zach Rogers up here near the front. Great run there for the 6 car. Zach Rogers coming into this race currently positioned in the 13th position in points. We haven't really talked a lot about him this season, but he had 2 wins last year, as we know. Didn't win a dirt track, though. But obviously very good here today. In that 7th position, Norman currently is in 8th. And Trey Wright currently has now cracked the top 10. He's up to 9th place. Mentioned about him, 24th in points. And let's not forget, Trey Wright's first career win last season came at a dirt track. That was at Lakewood. Right now, Benjamin Miles completes your top 10. And Cody Lamas right now battling with Vince Almriego. Remember, we saw contact between those two early on in this race. They're battling currently for the 12th position, I believe it is. And right now, more importantly for Cody Lamas, he is the highest running rookie on track. Casey Nanico there in the 77, not too far behind. This is the battle for the rookie of the race currently on track. Trey Wright trying to make his way around the lap machine of Levi McIntyre, succeeds in doing so. Let's move back up towards the front. Battle here between some teammates. That's for 5th place, Johnny Gardner to the inside of Ryan Acosta. Jose Mills has managed to get around Adam Garcia for 2nd. Matt McIntyre has moved up to 3rd. And here comes Mills for the race lead on Jack Mitchell. And I think he's trying to pass that 0-1 quickly because he knows that 7 car is moving up through the field very quickly. If I recall correctly, last season Jose Mills was the first multi-time winner in the Duracell Cup Series. Well, Matt McIntyre and Jose Mills trying to take that moniker here in Season 2. Mills winning at Bristol, McIntyre winning at Texas, and of course these two, let's not forget, then that Texas race were the 2 that were in that photo finish. McIntyre just besting Jose Mills by 1,000th of a second. So you got to bet that's in the back of Jose Mills' mind as well. He does not want to finish second to Matt McIntyre for the second time in 3 weeks. Boy, this is some great battling up front, and really good to see, because I was kind of worrying when we went green to start this race and they started getting single file that we weren't going to see a lot of passing at the front of the field. Well, those questions have been answered. Those worries have been quelled, because we've got some good battling up here. We've had the lead change at least twice now since we went back green, and we may not be done yet. Matt McIntyre, little good run there off of 4. He'll get to the left rear quarter panel of Jose Mills, and he'll have the inside advantage into turn 1. You got McIntyre and Mills up here. They're battling to get their second win of the season, but you got guys like Mitchell, Garcia, Gardner, Rogers, Acosta back there licking their chops, wanting their first win of the season, and for many of them looking for the first win in their career. The only one of those 5 that I mentioned that has won already here in the Duracell Cup Series is Zach Rogers. Gardner, Garcia, Mitchell, and Acosta all still looking for career win number 1. And we've had 5 first-time winners here this season. Baker in the Daytona 500, Michael Norman at Springfield, Alexander Rowe at Pikes Peak, Matt McIntyre at Texas, and Dylan Young last week at Darlington. Crossover. Jose Mills trying to get the lead back. Can't do it. Can't quite get there. Now Matt McIntyre restarted in 6th, has now fought his way back up to the lead. Let's see now if he's infallible, if somebody can still make a move on him for the lead, or now that he's gotten the top spot, is he going to drive away? Because that's what happened when we went green. He started on pole and drove away from everybody. We'll see if that's going to be the case here. We just had an exchange for 4th. Johnny Gardner getting around Adam Garcia. Great run for the 14. Johnny Gardner had a great run last week at Darlington. I think that was his best finish of the season so far. Finished that race in the 3rd position, and another great run here today at Springfield. That top 5 run last week moved him from 38th to 34th in the points coming to this one. Zach Rogers now trying to take a spot in the top 5 as he's side by side with Adam Garcia. Michael Norman has entered into this group now as he's trying to take away 7th from Ryan Acosta. The top 8 all up here in this group, and then we've got another breakaway before you get to Trey Wright. He's all by himself. And then a big pack from 10th place on back. Cody Lamas leading that group right now. One driver we have not seen up towards the front, and that is Jordan Lopez, who came into this race only 4 points behind Ryan Acosta for the overall points lead. And right now, there you see him mired back in the 23rd position. There's a number of drivers in the top 10 in points that are back here. Cole Baker, 10th in the points you see back there. He's in 25th. Carter Friesen just ahead there. He's in 22nd, I believe. And he's 5th in the points coming into this one. And Dylan Young, last week's winner, just a couple cars ahead in the 20th position. And he is 7th in the points coming to this race. So there are some drivers that are definitely struggling. Carson Gumbs back here as well in the 3 car. And I think the caution might be out. It is. Yeah, I thought I saw the lights come on the pace car, but I wasn't certain. And the leader, Matt McIntyre, just took the yellow flag. I almost wonder if maybe Wyatt Quayle might have brought out this yellow flag. He's already got damage from the first caution. Don't know if he brought the yellow flag out or not. It might have been Charles Sanford, actually. Sanford's way back here as well, although Sanford just ran his fastest lap of the race, so I don't know. Now here's the big question. Are they going to pit this time? We're going to hit the line with 20 laps to go. Were they in their fuel window to make it, or are they going to have to come to pit road at least one more time? Looks like this might be the answer. Matt McIntyre is coming to pit road. Jose Mills is staying out. And it looks like he's the only lead lap car that's going to. Ooh, man. That's interesting. Not sure if everybody else is coming down pit road. Not sure how that's going to work out for Jose Mills. Yeah, he was the only lead lap car that stayed out. Marcus Sachi, Levi McIntyre, Ryan Butcher, and Kyle Matthews are all lap down cars who will pit next time. Let's watch the battle off pit road, because we could be watching the battle for the potential race lead. And Matt McIntyre does get off pit road first. Ryan Acosta is going to come out in second. And it's Michael Norman and Johnny Gardner. So a lot of Toyotas are going to be hungry behind Jose Mills when we go back green. For now, let's go back and see what brought out the caution, as we will be restarting with 20 laps to go. And we were just talking about what a great run Johnny Gardner was having. Well, watch right here. They had caught up to the slower machine of Marcus Sacchi. Sacchi's trying to give him room, and they were 3 wide behind him, and it's going to turn into 4 wide off of turn 2. And there's just not enough room at a dirt track when the rear end is sliding out from underneath you that you're going to be able to make this work. Adam Garcia crowds Johnny Gardner up the track into Marcus Sacchi. But Garcia got some pretty good damage on the right side of his machine from that too. Johnny Gardner backs it into the wall. And then Marcus Sacchi almost spins it out, but keeps the car straight as he fishtails down that inside line. And here's the fortunate thing, that gap back, remember there was like the top 8 and then there was a gap back to 9th place Trey Wright? That I think was a reason that Johnny Gardner was able to recover and not get hit. Trey Wright gets just by him, and then as Gardner gets it back into the throttle, you can see it's a long ways back to the 10th on back, from 10th place all the way back through the field. That gap that happened between the top 8 on back to the rest of the field might have been a blessing in disguise, or we could have had another multi-car wreck here out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. But a tough break there for Johnny Gardner. Now, I do think he did come back out of pit road up inside of the top 5, or at least the top 10. Pikachu's on that billboard, I just noticed. Anyway, so I think he might be okay, because usually it doesn't matter if you've got some cosmetic damage that affects you as far as speed at a dirt track. So we'll have to wait and see, but nonetheless, that's what brings out the caution for the second time here today at Fuel Motorsports Park. Green flag set to come back out here on lap 34 of 50, and of course the big question about Jose Mills, can he make it on fuel? He takes the race lead over as a result of staying out. Everybody else was on pit lane. I think Jose Mills may be hoping and praying for another caution, but even if he has another caution and comes to pit road, he's going to lose all of that track position. But right now, it doesn't look like he's saving fuel at all. He pulls out ahead. And now he's pitting. Boy, I don't understand that strategy at all. How about Michael Norman? That car's got a bee in its bonnet as he's going to get to the inside of Ryan Acosta for second. He's now to the inside of Matt McIntyre for the race lead. Couple of teammates going at it. Michael Norman trying to go 2 for 2 at dirt tracks. And he will clear for that position. Well, as soon as I say that, Matt McIntyre battles back on the top side. Toyota's up here at the front. Norman, McIntyre, Ryan Acosta. Ryan's the only one that hasn't won yet this season. And as you see, Michael Norman kind of breathing the throttle through the corner. He will clear for the race lead. Now the battle is on for second. Ryan Acosta trying to get around Matt McIntyre. You had to think that with the timing of that caution, that was going to be the opportunity for drivers to be able to make adjustments and try and put themselves on a level playing field, or if not, make themselves better than Matt McIntyre, who's probably had the strongest car of the day so far. And Michael Norman, whatever adjustment they made for him, it definitely worked out. But bear in mind, Matt McIntyre moved his way from 6th up to the race lead on a long run, so he's got a good long run car. If we go green the rest of the way, you got to wonder if Matt McIntyre will be able to battle his way back up to the front and take the lead away from his teammate Norman. We under caution? No, we are not. Okay. Sometimes it's tough to tell. I have to kind of go based off of where the dirt is. And it looked like we might have had a multi-car wreck with how much dust was kicked up there on the back straightaway. But no, we are still green flag racing. Zach Rogers, a little bit of left side damage there on his Dodge Challenger, but he's up to 4th. Just saw him get around Trey Wright. And Johnny Gardner, who brought out the caution, he's still up there in that 6th position. So great run for him. Jack Mitchell currently is in the 7th spot. Adam Garcia in 8th. And then you've got this battle back here for the 9th position. Sebastian Kukulan got trapped a lap down at some point in this race. Benjamin Miles, Jordan Lopez, they're battling. Actually, no, Lopez is a lap down too, as is Keith Batson. So don't know what happened to them. Right now, Miles is in 9th, and his teammate Alexander Rowe, our Pikes Peak winner, currently completes your top 10. So we might have had some other incidents take place on pit road that trapped some of these guys a lap down, because now the 38, the 1, and the 39 are all off the lead lap. Meanwhile, up back at the front, I can't talk. Michael Norman. I was going to say Matt McIntyre, but he's back in 3rd. Norman leads the way. Ryan Acosta in 2nd. I'll tell you what, I think the fastest car on track right now might be that 6 car of Zach Rogers, because now he is hounding Matt McIntyre for 3rd. Now the problem for him, though, is there's not a whole lot of time left in this race. It's going to be 10 to go next time by, so he's got to pick off these drivers 1 car per 3 laps if he's going to be out in front by the time this race ends. Ryan Acosta running a little bit higher on entry from Michael Norman's. And looks like he's then trying to apex the corner when he then drives it down off of turns 2 and 4, trying to get the run on the straightaway, and he's almost to the back bumper of that 18. If he gets close enough, would he use the bumper and move Michael Norman out of the way? You think back to last season, Levi McIntyre dominated the regular season point standings. Nobody seemed to be able to wrestle P1 away from him, but he could not find victory lane. Well, Ryan Acosta's been in that same boat this season. He's been up atop the point standings for a majority of the first half of this regular season. He does not want to miss out on the playoffs just because he can't get a win, and this might be the closest opportunity he's had so far this season. But he's going to have to get by a guy who's already got a checkered flag at a dirt track under his belt this year, when Michael Norman took the checkered flag back at Springfield. Remember, he did it with a damaged race car too. That car here today doesn't have a scratch on it. Matt McIntyre trying to find some momentum there on the upper groove through 3 and 4. He manages to hold off Zach Rogers for 3rd, but I don't think he really gained anything on the top 2 as Michael Norman continues to tick away laps. Now, when we ended up having that caution come out, the leaders had caught slower traffic. They had lapped Marcus Sacchi, and they had also come close to catching Wyatt Quayle. Would traffic come into play in this race? First car they would encounter would be Levi McIntyre. He hits the stripe. Now the leaders are just exiting the middle of 3 and 4. I don't know if they're going to catch that 99 car before this race is over or not. Remember, Levi McIntyre is down a cylinder, so he is definitely not turning as fast lap times as the race leaders are. But I don't know, with only 7 laps remaining, if they're going to catch him that quickly. Battle for 3rd. Zach Rogers, Matt McIntyre. This might be the best battle on track right now towards the front. As at this moment in time, Michael Norman holding Ryan Acosta off, and Ryan Acosta doesn't seem to be able to do anything with that 18 car. Trey Wright right now in that 5th spot. Jack Mitchell there in 6th. Gardner in 7th. Garcia 8th. And still 9th and 10th are Miles and Rowe. How about Carter Friesen now working his way up here? He's up to 11th. Continues to be the quiet man this season, getting those consistent finishes and really doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Zach Rogers still trying to clear Matt McIntyre. I think he might get him here. Matt looked a little tight off of 4, almost went up into the wall, but still battles back on that top side. About a car length and a half separation between the 10 and the 18. And doesn't seem like one gains or one loses any ground to the other. It just seemed like they're right on equal lap times. Let's watch the lap time as they hit the line this time for 4 to go. Michael Norman hitting the stripe with a 31.625. About 0.4 faster was Ryan Acosta with a 5.85. The problem is he's in dirty air, figuratively and literally, as he is behind that 18. So that's got to be taking some air off his nose with this 2019 rules package and not allowing him to get back to the throttle as soon as he would like. But now it looks like he could be formulating something, because he's a little closer now than he was a couple laps ago. So he might have something here for Michael Norman as they are closing in on the slower machine of Marcus Sacchi in that 21. All depends on where they catch him. And Ryan Acosta might be able to use the 21 car as a pick. They're going to catch him coming down into this corner. Michael Norman's going to get to the inside and clear him. Ryan Acosta has to go low on the inside, and he didn't quite clear the 21. Now he clears him, but he lost a little bit of ground to Michael Norman, and this time it's 2 laps to go. More traffic up ahead. Wyatt Quayle and Levi McIntyre, and they're going to battle side by side. That could box in the 18, so it's not over yet. Ryan Acosta's got to keep his head in the game because he's still going to have a shot possibly at Michael Norman on this final lap. About 2 half-car lengths between himself and Norman. But there's still 4 corners when they get this white flag. Look at Ryan Acosta right down there on the bottom, driving it deep to get a run off the corner. They're going to catch the 41 of Wyatt Quayle. That's a teammate to the 10, but he's not really going to be able to block Michael Norman. They're going into turn 1. Norman trying to hug the bottom, trying to keep the 10 of Ryan Acosta at bay. He's going to catch Levi McIntyre here. If he can get down to the inside of the 99, he's got this win. Oh, he's not quite there yet. Drives it in deep. McIntyre throws a block on him. Norman had to lift. Can Acosta get a run on him out of this corner? Almost contact there between Norman and McIntyre, but Michael Norman hangs on, and Michael Norman wins the Sunoco 400 here today at Fuel Motorsports Park. He is 2 for 2 at the dirt tracks this season, and he just became the first multi-time winner of Season 2, which means he may have just confirmed himself a spot now in the chase for the championship heading into the second half of the regular season. Second career win for him. His first came earlier on this season. And how about a run for a driver that came into this race 30th in the point standings? This will give him a nice cushion from that danger zone. And a driver that is struggling in the point standings, not necessarily struggling as far as not able to find victory lane this season, but a driver that was struggling in the points coming into this race for the second straight year goes to victory lane. Remember, Chris Dollerton was outside the top 30 in points when he took the checkered flag here 1 year ago. Standings are official. Michael Norman, the first multi-time winner this year with the victory at Fuel Motorsports Park. You got to think he's going to be a favorite heading into our other dirt tracks, which are going to be at, I believe, DuQuoin. Is DuQuoin on the schedule? I think DuQuoin's on the schedule, and of course we're going as well to Bristol Dirt. That's actually replacing Lakewood this season. Ryan Acosta, a bridesmaid yet again. Boy, you gotta think he's so close to getting that first career victory, but every single time we think he's so close, someone's just a little bit better. He'll keep the overall points lead, though, heading into the second half of the regular season, but I'm sure he would trade all that for a win. Zach Rogers, a great run for him there in third place. Matt McIntyre, who had the strong car early on, faded back to fourth, but a great run for him nonetheless as well. Jack Mitchell brings it home with a top 5 in fifth, so his last 2 finishes at this racetrack, 6th and 5th. I think he likes the track of Fuel Motorsports Park. Trey Wright brings it home in 7th. Adam Garcia 8th. Johnny Gardner 9th. Benjamin Miles will finish in the 9th position. And how about Matthew Rodriguez? Great run for him there in 10th. So you had 3 of the Michael Norman Motorsports cars finish up inside of the top 10. Carter Friesen will finish the day out 11th. Alexander Rowe in 12th. Jesse Turner, great run for him in 13th. Ryan Brommer 14th. Carson Gum fought his way up to a 15th place position. He was way back in the field before that second caution came out. Seth Cole, or make that Austin Plant rather, in 16th, Seth Cole in 17th. Great comeback for James Qualls. He got caught up in the first caution of the day. Remember when we saw him slide through the pit wall? He finishes in the top 20 in 18th. Cole Baker brings it home 19th, and our winner from last week at Darlington, Dylan Young, brings it home in the 20th position. Look on down through the remainder of the finishing results and a couple of drivers that really faded back there in the closing stages. Cody Lamas was up inside the top 10 about the midway point. He finishes 24th. And Chris Dollerton, don't know what happened to him, but the defending winner of this race fell all the way back to finish in the 26th position. Benny Watson, 27th, was the last car to finish on the lead lap. And you see all these drivers who finished a lap down. Wyatt Quayle had damage from the first caution. Charles Sanford, Kyle Matthews, Ryan Butcher, Sebastian Kukulon, they all had some kind of a pit road incident. Jose Mills finished a lap down because he decided to stay out under our second caution, and then we went green the rest of the way, and he had to pit. So tough break there for him. And the Jordan Lopez, Keith Batson, Matt Haas, they all finished a lap down due to pit road incidents. 2 laps down was Marcus Sachi. Mechanical problems plagued Levi McIntyre early. He had to make an unscheduled stop, finished the day out 38th, 6 laps down. And 2 drivers finished out of the race. They were Derek Hamill and William Brock. They retired due to crash damage from our first caution of the day. But Michael Norman will head into the All-Star race break as the only driver so far this season that is a 2-time winner. So definitely Michael Norman looking like he's going to have himself in a playoff position. Question is, who is going to join him? A lot of candidates, but so far nobody really confirmed because we've still got 13 regular season races to go in the second half of the regular season. But that's going to do it here from Fuel Motorsports Park. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race here. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We've shown you full feature results, and these are your point standings heading into next week, where points will not matter. It will be our midway point of the season, where we'll get ready for All-Star Race Weekend at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We kick things off with the All-Star Open. That will set our field for who's going to be in the All-Star race. And then, of course, after that, it's our longest race of the season as we will kick off the chase towards the chase for the championship at Charlotte Motor Speedway with the running of the Coca-Cola 600. Until then, though, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its Best. We will see you guys next week.